Hi, this is Jerome Pena, artist for 7 to Eternity, and you're listening to 11 O'Clock Comics.
I'm thinking that was pretty perfect. It spiked just a little bit, but if you're not going to put a little bit of sand in the Vaseline, what's the point?
I did like that one. That was a rare one that I actually liked.
A little bit of grit. Never hurt anybody.
Don't mess with perfection.
I wouldn't go that far.
Damn.
Well, it was good. What? It was very good. Nice job. Why are you whispering? People can't hear you if you whisper. They all want to hear you because you know
I'm
what?
leaving to them. They can't see me either, you telling me?
You know what? This is 11 O'Clock Comics, specifically episode 968. And I'm Vince B. All day long.
Who? All day
Yes.
long, all night long. I am David A. Price.
That's true. And of course, I'm Johnny Appleseed.
You know, I'm not even going to go against you because that just warms my heart. Not only, of course, I didn't hear your opinion on the book, but the very fact that you read it is good enough for me. You're not Johnny Appleseed.
I'm just talking about American folklore.
No, you're not. You are not. You're Jason Wood, everybody. And we're building up our own little folklore around something called cheapgraphicnovels.com.
Oh, look at you.
Cheapgraphicnovels.com has a mythology. Right? They are known for the place you want to go to get low prices on omnibus editions, OGNs, manga, trade paperbacks, art books, all that stuff. Super cheap, so you can order a lot, but you're not going to order a lot on your very first order if you're a new customer. Why, are you asking? Well, here's the deal. Order something. You will receive an email confirmation. You are going to respond to that email confirmation saying, hey, Max, this place is awesome. I'm so grateful to my friends at 11 O'Clock Comics for telling me about this. Max is going to bounce one right back to you real quick saying, you know what? You have free shipping on your next order. And that, my friend, is when you're going to order the big stuff, the big time, big box order. It just makes sense. Low prices, free shipping on your second order if you're a first-time customer, and low shipping regularly. I'm amazed at how low the shipping is for regular orders, but whatever. And not only all that, they have specials.
Ooh, do they have specials this week?
Stop.
Chock-a-block.
Autumn specials.
Dude. Like, I had to stop myself.
Dude.
I had to edit the hell out of this list, and it's still longer than I would normally like it to be.
All right, both of you need to not spike the meters, so don't get too loud, but enjoy yourselves.
Oh my God!
I'm just saying.
I can't whisper.
No, you can't whisper. You can talk like a human being. There you go. Speak.
So we've got Black Panther by Ta-Nehisi Coates, the Intergalactic Empire of Wakanda trade paperback. This is $29.99. Writer Coates continues his widely acclaimed Black Panther saga by taking T'Challa and Wakanda to the stars. This collects the 2018 series Black Panthers numbers 1 through 25. The Daredevil.
Wait a minute, that's Acuna, right? Is that Black Panther?
That is on the beginning of the story. On the beginning of the arcs, yes.
He's great. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. The Daredevil Born Again Marvel Premiere Collection trade paperback. This is $10.49. This collects Daredevil numbers 226 through 233 and includes a foreword by Frank Miller and an afterword by Charlie Cox. Geiger Volume 2, The Nuclear Knight. There's 2 flavors on the direct market cover. $10.49. This collects Geiger Volume 2, numbers 1 through 6, and Geiger Ground Zero, numbers 1 and 2. The Life and Art of Mort Walker hardcover, $48. This historical book contains examples of the work he did prior to Beetle Bailey and explores the evolution of his style and showcases his many gags from his early comics and Show Me magazine to the work he did for the Saturday Evening Post. The tome also contains historical essays detailing his life and career up until his death in 2018, as written by Walker's assistant, Bill Janaucha. Ronin Island Complete trade paperback, $14.99. This collects all 12 issues of Ronin Island by New York Times bestselling author Greg Pak and acclaimed artist Giannis Milogiannis. This is one of my favorite stories I read, I think a couple years ago. Finally out in hardcover, $14.99. This is the Snowcat Prince from Norwegian author Dina Norland. It's a beautifully illustrated tale of bravery and honor. And we've also got the DC Finest Teen Titans, the Judas Contract trade paperback, $23.99. This collects the New Teen Titans numbers 33 through 40, the New Teen Titans Annual number 2, Tales of the Teen Titans numbers 41 through 47, Tales of the Teen Titans Annual number 3, and stories from Action Comics 546, World's Finest Comics number 300, The Vigilante number 3, and more. So you've got a whole bunch of things to choose from this week at Cheap Graphic Novels.
It's true. CheapGraphicNovels.com. Go there or pay more. See? The dogs know.
See? Even the dogs are agree.
Yep. Yeah. Even the dogs know. Doesn't that make you feel bad if you've never placed an order at CheapGraphicNovels.com that a dog knows more than you?
They're imploring you to do so.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm also imploring you to drink heavily because, I have from New Trail, this is the Broken Heels Hazy IPA. And I also have, I've never had this before, and it looks really good. It's from Bell's. It's the Hop Slam Ale. Double India Pale Ale brewed with honey. Now, if you just left that with honey off at the end, I would be more excited. But, we'll see how it is. But it's looking okay. I'm not a honey fan.
I like honey in tea. I don't know if I like honey in...
I don't like honey in
mead.
In syrup. I don't want it in my beer. I don't want, no.
You meads it. I'm drinking water, straight up water.
Great.
Water.
Yeah.
Nice job, Namor. What else we got?
Thanks.
Somewhere Caleb's happy. This is Noble Oak Double Oak Bourbon. It's finished in sherry oak staves. So yeah, this is our stabs. But this has been on the shelf for a while. I've had it a couple times. It's enjoyable.
Nice. I think I want to get a taste of your spit bucket, whatever you called it, the repository for all your bottom of the bottle pours that it's not enough for a whole
infinity bottle.
Yeah, infinity bottle. I want to have some of that.
Okay.
Because I bet you that's real good.
I'll keep adding to it as I get through some bottles, and I'll bring it to Jason.
Because that's like the libation equivalent of minestrone. You just throw whatever you got in minestrone soup.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's really good.
Yeah, I'm not a big soup guy. But yes, I agree with you.
I'm not either. Nah. Occasionally, it depends on the temperature. If it's really cold outside, I'd be like, I'll have some soup. But that's not my go-to is soup.
Right.
Yeah. We have an assignment, or we had an assignment this week. An all-in assignment, not the DC variety. We had all hands on deck reading the same thing. It's from Living the Line. It is currently solicited in this current previews, which is number 4. Oh my God, I swear I'm blind. 437. It's in there. It's in previews 437. Now, let's be honest. Whether or not you're going to get it, depending on where you ordered it from, is another question. But who knows? Make the effort because it's in the previews. The distribution landscape is still kind of murky, is it not, Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, yes and no, I guess. Pretty much most of the publishers have quickly found a home at Lunar or PRH.
Okay, so let's hope Living the Line out.
Yeah, I honestly don't know where Living the Line stands. I don't recall seeing anything about them one way or the other, but let's hope that they that they find a spot.
And yeah, it is kind of downbeat starting off a review saying, hey, you may or may not get. But I mean, such is the reality right now. We are in uncertain times. We don't know. But make the effort because it is called The Pit. Written and illustrated by Erik Kriek. And as we said, it's published by Living the Line. I need opinions. What did you guys think?
Well, this is for context. This is Living the Line's second effort of bringing over Erik Kriek's work. Erik is, I believe, he's Norwegian, right?
Yes.
With the Exile a few years ago. In fact, I'm pretty sure that was the first Living Alone book I remember reading. Yeah,
and I believe it was in last month's previews also.
It's always
it's in there often. Yeah, it's in there often. But it was a really good book. I really enjoyed that book.
Yeah, but a lot different than this.
Very different. Yeah, I mean, obviously the visual style is not because it's the same guy drawing it, but yeah, very different. Opinions. I mean, I enjoyed it. I did. I don't. Maybe we'll get into it. I thought it was good, but I thought it was a little predictable. Like it just kind of followed a path that it seemed like it was going to follow. And,
yeah, I mean, I think that's where I'm at with this. I don't want to slight the production because I think Kriek's illustrations are beautiful. He has a very high contrast, very chiaroscuro style, somewhere between David Lloyd and maybe John Ridgway with a little bit of Charles Burns thrown in. Like he does the sawtooth shading technique that Burns likes. Not as precise as Burns. Kriek's is more organic. So it's very stark. It's either white or it's black. And then the colors accentuate beautifully. I think it's a very beautiful book. But as a folk horror fan who just devours anything in the genre, I've kind of seen this all before. There was really nothing within the book that stood out to me as like, oh, that's different from the genre. I mean, it's to say it's a very solid story. It's about a couple, Hugh and Sarah Pittman, who are running away from their past.
And by the way, I'm pretty sure. I mean, if you've seen, the husband in this is Erik himself. Like he draws himself in this book. That's what he looks like.
Okay. Yeah. So they're running away from a very unfortunate, though entirely preventable incident. Sarah's son, Reuben, was killed. I got the impression, because the son's name is Coulter and not Pittman, that Hugh is not the father. So the son died, and it threw Sarah into a downward spiral. She's an artist. She engaged in all of the things one should in an event that just kind of rocks you to your core. The whole the therapy and the pills and so luckily, very fortunately, Hugh's great uncle Henry leaves him an estate. So it's like, let's go pick up sticks and we'll the life change. It'll maybe do us good, And they get there and they're surveying the property and there's a massive tree that was downed maybe during a storm, with a pit of inky black water in front of it. And surrounding the area on the trees, there's these strange sigils carved into the wood. And Hugh, who's not a very likable character, from my perspective, is just like, oh, there's some Blair Witch shit around here. Like, he doesn't believe anything. He ridicules anything out of the realm of the norm, where Sarah's like willing to give things a chance to at least embrace, or not embrace, but at least attempt to understand things that may be out of her realm of perception, the everyday stuff. Meaning, they find a book on the premises that was Hugh's uncle's, and it's loaded with all these sigils and these arcane writings, and Sarah gets really into it. And Hugh just ridicules the whole thing. That's bull. Why are you wasting your time on that? Like, come on over and spend some time with me. And I don't know why she would. But Sarah is also, because of the incident, she's also lost her desire for human contact. And he throws that in her face a lot. There's a point where reluctantly, I don't know, maybe reluctantly or maybe willingly, she engages into some kind of contact with him, and so he feels better, but that's actually when things start really going south, there's something going on in the pit of black water that beckons Sarah, and she sees her son, and people around the Pittmans seem to die. It's a very strange relationship because it seems that Sarah's original agent was once her husband. Did you guys got that right? That the agent was romantically, they were married at one time. And
I didn't pick that up because he's gay. He's with a.
Well, that's what I thought too. But yeah, I thought that too. But then maybe it was the realization that he's gay that separated the two.
Huh? I must have missed that part. But
Yeah, same.
Well, that's what I picked up. Maybe it's not there. But anyway, the Fix-It Men, handymen, her agent and his significant other. Sorry, my cat's eating paper. They die mysteriously, and then it all comes to a head. And I don't think we should reveal the ending, but again, not to slight I think the visuals are the strongest aspect of this book. I enjoyed the visuals immensely. I think his woodland scenes are gorgeous. Mm-hmm. He's very, very capable with anatomy and mood and lighting, of course. When you have a style that's so stark and high contrast like this, you better be good with lighting. I just thought the visuals were really special. The story was like, I mean, it's not bad, but it doesn't have anything that would remove it from or elevate it from any other folk horror themed story like this that I have experienced before. Yeah. I got a little bit of an Evil Dead vibe with the cabin that had the book and the investigations and all this shit that's going on there's no deadites in it. No, there's not. But no. I thought it was really well done. Would I recommend this to anybody? If you are not steeped in the folk horror genre, I'd be like, hey, read this, and you see what folk horror is about. It's not hardcore folk horror. It's not a period piece like Witchfinder General or the Wicker Man wasn't. But all the trappings of folk horror are here. It's a good inroads to folk horror. There.
I also misspoke. He's Dutch. He's not Norwegian, so apologies.
Okay.
Well, I think if you're Dutch, you don't want to be called, it's
right. Faux pas. You made a faux pas.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want him to think like
Japanese
I
and Chinese.
Exactly.
That's a big faux pas, though.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe Norwegian and Dutch is an equally hurtful.
I don't want to assume.
Yeah. Well, good.
Right.
That's good.
What'd you think? What'd you think, Diggity?
I did like it. I'm not, like you said, I'm not, or it's not news. I'm not super keen on the horror, but this wasn't scary. There were some moments here and there that are amped up, but yeah, I thought Hugh, kind of want to like the guy, but it's hard to not. It's easy to not like him.
Yeah.
I kind of, you could feel for Sarah, but
not really.
Also, some of it is self-inflicted. So
no, it's very. Here's the deal. So she's at just to explain what the whole thing that kind of turned me on Sarah. She has a gallery show. It's not a huge gallery show. It looks like it's like a lower tier community. It's not all the lights and the carpets and the high level art world gallery showing. This is like, this is her first one. So she's coming up in the world, and Hugh's out doing something. He's still working or something. And she does not hire a babysitter. Like, how much would a babysitter cost for maybe the 4 or 5 hours that you're at this gallery showing? And
like you said, if she's an up and coming artist, they might not have the money for that.
Okay, make the money. Find the money. Like, if this gallery showing is this important for you, let's not go out to eat one night a week.
No friends.
Yeah, there's nobody you can leave this child with. Maybe not, right? Who knows? But I would try and find someone, and the child goes outside to play and gets hit by a car. And so her world is like shattered. But I don't know. Speaking, like, number one, even if I didn't have the money, bringing a child to a gallery showing is problematic, right? People aren't there to see your child and you. They're there to see your work and ask you about it. Okay, but whatever. If you have to bring the child, you bring the child. You don't let the child out of your sight. It just doesn't make any sense. Like it could have been from that point on in the book could have just been blank pages if she did the right thing. My sympathy for Sarah is not that high.
I mean, it's interesting to me because I mean, you're not wrong, obviously, but like the whole point of the book is that she realized she made. I mean, she can't ever forgive herself for the fact that she told him to go play and he got hit by a car because she.
Yes. Right, but a moment of just contemplation stop, right?
For time immemorial, parents have been like, go outside and play. Like,
sure.
That is not like and any parent who told their kid to go outside and play and then the kid dies is going to always never forgive themselves. But it doesn't mean they were like a bad parent. Like, I don't, it's funny, like, hearing us, like, I got a totally different vibe from this book, like, on all fronts. First of all, I'm pretty sure that he is the father because in that same scene, she says, "Daddy's still at work. He'll be here soon." But look at the page with the grave marker. That's not the same last name. But that doesn't. But it could be Dutch culture that they keep their maiden name or that they who know I don't know that, but like it doesn't really matter one or the other. But I took it to be that he also is the father. Okay. But secondly, I did not come across thinking he was a bad dude in any way. Like, I had great empathy for him because his wife is first of all, she's psychotic. You didn't mention that.
I said she's on medication. That she
dumps her pills.
For psychotic. For a little while. Yeah. He and her have gone through this huge trauma, which, again, any parent would be devastated. And it's basically ruined their marriage. And he's seemingly doing everything he can to try and get her back onto a good footing, encouraging her to do her art, encouraging her to have friends, finding this new place for them to live and start over, talking about building her a studio in the place if she wants it. And then she's like, "Oh, I don't want a studio." It's like, "Oh, that's fine. Then we can do something else with it." Like, he's very caring. He wants to be intimate with her. But then she says no, and he's like, "Okay," and he's understandably like, "Well, like we need to refine our intimacy." But he's not like a jerk about it. Like, if you don't fuck me, I'm leaving. Like, I don't know. Like, I was like, this dude's like putting up the good fight. Like, he's had to handle this woman who's completely mentally broken for half a decade, and he's like doing a pretty good job of it. So I don't know. Like, I had great empathy for the dude. Like, I was like, damn, this dude is putting in the work. So it's just interesting that you saw him as like an unlikable person because I didn't get that from him at all. It's I guess it's kind of fascinating that we all read that book and got like a different vibe from the dude.
Yeah, well, maybe I'm just like a helicopter parent or spouse, but if my spouse was teetering on the verge of mental instability and I got the idea that maybe she wasn't taking her medication, I don't know. I wouldn't fly halfway around the country for weeks or however long he was gone and leave her home alone. That's when this shit happened. When he left her home alone and she started seeing the image of her dead son and talking to it like it was real. And who knows?
No.
Okay, but again, to be fair, that's because he had been out of work because their son died, and he had to go back to work. Like, these are not rich people. That like he had to like even he goes back to the place, and his boss is like, "Oh, it's good to see you. Like, I'm glad you're back."
Sure.
Like, he's an architect, and he had to go do a project. Like, so again, like this is real world. Like, he's a architect who has to go to a site, and I'm sure he doesn't want to leave her, but like. What are they going to do? They got to pay bills. Like,
right,
so
but he also had the wherewithal to say, you know what? I'm done. I'm just going to go back home. And they're like, okay, we'll catch up.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but like, he probably got there and he's like this, but like, I just don't think it's wrong of him to be like, she's a grown woman. He assumes she's on her meds. Like, they even say that like, she's hiding the fact that she's not taking her meds.
I mean, she tells Emilio before she tells you.
Yeah, like, I don't know, man. I feel like my man Hugh's like just like he's getting a raw deal from you, Vince. Like, he's like, my guy's just like along for the ride here. He's along for the ride. Like,
no, I think that they're both lacking in many things for me. That I don't know. Maybe I overcompensate.
I was going to say she's got mental illness and her son dies and she blames herself whether she should or shouldn't.
Right, that's a big pill to swallow.
And so she's broken mentally, and then you got this, and then they go to this place where obviously there's some dark the most interesting thing for me about this book is that, you know, like you said, we see the tree and the black water and the markings and the book, and like, so there's definitely this occult dark magic sort of vibe to it, but at the same time we learn that she is off of her antipsychotic meds, And as I'm sure many people listening know, if you know anything about that, like if you go off your psychosis meds, well, then you're going to likely start having psychotic breaks again. And one of the most common things is seeing things, right? Like seeing things that aren't there. And so what happens? She starts seeing her son, her dead son, and having conversations with her dead son. So the fascinating thing here is it the dark magic's doing this to her, or that she's having a psychotic break because she's off her meds? Is it both? You know, like is it just like, is the occult stuff just a framing device, but it's actually just that she's having a psychotic break and she becomes murderous, and you know what I mean? Like it's and again, like because of the way the book is presented, I'm to conclude like there certainly is a dark magic part to it. But like I do like that they blend those together, so it kind of leave you questioning how much is the fact that there's a medical situation going on here, or how much is it because there's like, you know, like supernatural evil stuff going on. That was my favorite part of the book, honestly. Because
because that gives you food for thought, right?
Yes,
which came first. And I think the fact that she didn't take her medicine made her highly susceptible to the dark magic.
Right.
But is it 100% the evil in the pit? I don't think so. But also, like, there's a thinning, right, in that area. Even the people, you know, that woman, that the old woman that lived next door. Like, there's always somebody that tries to warn them. Right? Oh, you know, you can't go there. You can't do this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, it's too late for you. Thanks, Grandma. Yeah. Thank you very much. You know? And then I love the fact that they're always seen as crazy, right? The ones that warn, the ones that know what's going on and take steps to try and warn unfortunate people, you know, a husband, or, you know, oh, come on, Mom, let's dear, let's just go. Like, she's been off. Like, they always treat these people like crazy, and they're not. They know, they're perceptive. Leave these people alone. They know more than you.
Yeah.
Love that.
I will say this is a case too, and what I'm about to say is let me preface it by saying it's not fair to a work to judge a work against another work, but I think when you spend as much time in a thing like we do with comics, it's hard not to sometimes.
Right.
And as I was done reading this, you know, you've brought up like other folk horror, like this to me, a lot of the things about this to me were structurally very similar to A Guest in the House by E.M. Carroll, which you know, talked about a year and a half ago, and to me, like, I loved that book, and it's, you know, very similar setting, right? Like in that case, it was a lake house, but it was, you know, in the woods, this lake house that her husband had, and they go and live there, and, you know, there's things going on, and she's having mental breakdowns, and she becomes murderer. Like, there's a lot of similarities, right? Like, but to me, like, that book had way more, like, tense development and then twists and turns, where, like, I was like, at the end, I was like, oh man, like, there were some real surprises, and what a crescendo of an ending. And so I really found myself, as I was reading this, like, making direct mental comparisons. And it wasn't like I was trying to, it just was, my mind was going there. And that's where I was like, okay, you know, this is really good, it's executed well, but it's much more linear. It's much more like, it's exactly what you think it is until the very end, which is cool. Like,
yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Story, yeah, not every story has to be a maze of intricacy. Like, I'm not saying otherwise, but in my personal taste, I prefer a little bit of more of a, like, a, oh snap, right? Or I didn't see that coming.
Right.
Thing, so.
Right. I mean, she does have agency in her life up until a certain point. She makes the conscious decision. I'm just not going to take my medication anymore. Whether that was the right choice or not, you know, read the book. But
yeah, and her husband realizes things are bad because when he gets home, he knows she's been working on her art, but she doesn't want to show him, and he respects that because, you know, like, obviously, like, she's an artist, so she has a process, and she's been telling everybody she's working on this art that's inspired by this book of this occult stuff that she found from his uncle. But then he walks in and he sees what the art is, and he's like, oh, he's like, we got issues, He's
like, I think you're in a rut, honey.
I'm not going to say what the art is, but it's like, that's when he's like, oh boy, okay, all right,
yeah. I'm firm in my belief that if this is a very good piece to give someone who has little to no experience in folklore, if you give them this book, I think they will love it, and I think it will lead to consumption of other folklore genre items. So yes, this is I think it's a very valuable, it's a very worthwhile read. I do. It's just
Yeah,
me.
go folk
Like
yourself,
you can't give. You can't when you've read like all of, I don't know, all of a certain type of genre, not all of it, but a lot of it, and something else comes in. Like you just like you can't help but compare the thing to everything that you've experienced, and in doing that, there's a lot of things that are just chestnuts that are used in a lot of different stories. Mm-hmm. But doesn't make them bad. It just makes them, it makes them potent. Like if something works, use it. But yeah,
It's true.
The Pit.
But I love Dap saying he's not a horror fan, and 2 of the 4 books on his list this week are horror books.
Yeah, yes and no.
Wait, what?
Yes and no.
That is a horror book through and through. That's what it is. What?
Yeah, I'm.
Wait, what? Are you kidding me? Dude, it is by definition a horror book.
It is a horror book.
As much as Creep Show or Tales from the Crypt were
they're horror. Well, they're horror anthologies, of course.
No,
yeah,
yes. Well, let's just
tongue in cheek and campy.
They are. Let's just spill it. We're talking about Hyde Street, right? Yeah. It is a horror book. There are horrific elements in it. The stories are all. It's an anthology book built around an ensemble cast. It is. That's what Hyde Street is. You have all these characters that are working for the scorekeeper, and they are ushering souls, souls that have been deemed worthy of being eliminated or removed. So that's what Hyde Street is. It appears between streets, and it could be extra dimensional. Mm-hmm. It's an otherworldly place.
If I may, by the way, before you go on,
yeah,
the Ghost Machine website says Hyde Street Terror has a new destination in Hyde Street, a horror anthology.
Okay,
that combines okay,
they can call it what it is. I mean, yes, it's a horror book, but okay. at its core, I think it's more of a there are horror elements in it, right? But I don't think it is one of those books like there's also a undercurrent of vintage comic book memorabilia. Like Mr. X is Johnson Smith through and through. And he has a story, right? We're getting to know it more and more. Mm-hmm. But his glasses, the piranha people, the werewolf mask, like all of the bric-a-brac that's in his office comes from vintage comic books. So yes, it's a horror book, but there's also other elements within the book, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I just said Dap has got 2 horror books, and you both were like, "Oh, I don't know." I'm like, "Wait, what? Like, am I losing my mind? Like, it's a horror comic." Like,
because again, I'm not going to turn the page on Hyde Street and jump out of my seat. Like,
well, you don't know that. I mean, it's
they could be pulling something out. But I mean, Yvonne Reese, holy shit! Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like, I cannot believe
really incredible. Yeah, really
I can't believe this guy's work. It's just, I mean,
I loved him back in the Green Lantern stuff. Like, I thought he was great then. I remember, but I think he's like this. He was born to do this. This is incredible.
Yeah. And again, he's one of those rare talents that's good with the horrific elements. He can draw clothing exceptionally well. Different age. Like, he draws old people really well, kids really well. He could do a fucking demonic treehouse, extraordinary. Like, I just think the guy has a style that would not have been.
Dude drew reindeer. You know how hard it must be to draw reindeer?
Almost as hard as a horse.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, I thought to myself, like, well, artists hate drawing horses. A reindeer can't be much different than that. Like, they must hate that too.
Yeah, horses are fucking bitch. If you hate someone, ask for a horse commission.
There you go.
Yeah, but I think this book is great. I'm gonna obviously I identify with Pranky.
Who doesn't? Aren't we?
Pranky's my dude.
I think we're supposed to, though, right? Like,
yeah, it just in his methodology.
Wait, hold on. You don't think so, Dap?
No, I mean, I'm sure you can. I dislike Pranky, and I know you're supposed to, but no, I don't identify with him. I don't know anybody who I think is Pranky at heart. I'm sorry, Vince. I understand
Mr.
his
coming for him, so I guess we'll see if Pranky sticks around.
Although I am very much interested in this new character that we were introduced to. So I'm looking forward to the 4th issue. But yeah, I mean, as far as this issue goes,
See, I'd be
I'm surprised
pissed.
that, why? About
I'd
what?
be pissed just like Frankie. This fucking Frankenstein hooded monster
Yeah, he rolled up. I know.
rolls up and just takes his like, fuck you. What are you doing?
Yeah, that's fucked up.
That's
That's
what
fucked
fucking did the
up.
fucking Mr. X, so don't even try it.
What?
He promised Mr. X, this is your delivery. I'm going to give you somebody because I want you to get back to your daughter, which we all knew was just fucking full of shit. But now,
Dude, his name is Frankie.
Because something that he was going to do to someone else happened to him.
Right.
Fuck him. Good for
No,
him.
I'd be.
I know,
I'd
but
be.
the difference is Pranky's upset because new dude doesn't like torture them when
Right.
he like
No,
that's
yeah, he just lets them go. He
Yeah.
converts them in so they can go about their business, and he doesn't care about the scorecard.
Nah, I'd be.
Meanwhile, Frankie could have fucking went back ages ago, but he does. So he's just here.
Yeah, he's
to be a
sadistic.
thorn in other fucking people's
Yes,
sides.
yes.
Well, we
Yeah,
learned
that's
that
great.
Frankie's
For
built
your
differently.
attitude, that's great, but
Because the scorekeeper needs what, like 10,000? You need
Yeah,
you only
Frankie
need
had-
10,000 and you can get back to your life.
Frankie's at 18,000.
He's almost doubled it.
He has no interest in leaving. Yeah, he doesn't want to
Right.
leave. So
Yeah, my dude. I love him. You know what? And I don't think even though I like Pranky a lot, and he's the character I resonate with the most. The Santa Claus dude, he stole, right? He told the kid that Santa Claus doesn't exist, which is not a nice thing to do. I mean, John's is on the money that if you want to paint a character in a very bad light, just have him tell a kid there's no Santa Claus, right? So you're against that character.
spoilers,
Pardon me?
spoilers.
What? Oh, yeah, spoilers for life. But I don't think the Santa Claus guy did anything that would warrant him being abused and shunted off into hell, right? He's a common criminal that had an idea to go rob these houses on Christmas Eve dressed like Santa Claus, and a kid got in the way, and he told the kid, yeah, your belief system's fucked up.
Yeah, I mean, dude's
But
no
not a
Arthur
villain.
Clown.
No, he's not. Right.
Yeah.
He's not a hardcore villain. He's just somebody who's just, maybe lost in his ways. He's a little mean, a little inconsiderate, and he's a thief. So I get it. But I don't think he did anything worthy of having himself tortured. But that's how Pranky rolls. Stabbed a frickin' snowman.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's awesome. I like Mr. X too. I think it's
He's so weird though. Like I don't get it.
I love him. Yeah,
no, I
like
think
him
he
a
just
lot.
made a mistake. In the moment he made a mistake and told his daughter GTFO, and I don't think that was his true intent to do that. I just thought he was caught up in the whole thing, and now he's got a fucking pygmy marmoset on his ass. It's a cool book.
It is really.
It's
cool.
so different though.
It's a great book.
Yeah. It's super crazy. I love that. I love that you don't know what's coming next. I wasn't sure how much we were going to get between like Tale of the Week versus were we going to hear about, we're going to learn more about the score. Like I wasn't sure if we were going to get into that, and it seems like we're going to, at least for now, do both. Like we're gonna
Yeah, which good.
keep
And you
learning
know what?
more and more about the structure of this pocket universe, but we're also going to keep getting these stories of the week. Of the month, I guess. But
Right.
stories of the month.
I got to give Ghost Machine credit because they're on point with the timeliness of their books. Because this book came out around Christmas, and it features a story with a nasty Santa Claus.
Johns must love Christmas, dude, because they did the same thing with the Rocketfellers.
That's what I'm saying. And then in the Rocketfellers, they were all looking for a Christmas tree, and the pursuers are still on their trail, but they're trying to get acclimated to life in this small town, and dad sleeps with his friggin' goggles on. Like, okay, your wife looks like that and you're sleeping with goggles on. I don't get that at all, but I like the family dynamic of Rocketfellers. I think it's a fun little book. Shades of Fantastic Four in some spots, right? But yeah.
For sure.
It's beautifully drawn.
Faux show. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I have more Ghost Machine to talk about, but I want to hear about something else. We'll pad it. With
Ghost
other
Machine-O-Rama.
got lots of stuff. I wanted feel good stuff that made me happy and comfortable and just at peace this week. And the Ghost Machine books always do that.
Aww. Nice.
Well, speak.
Now I got a Galaxy.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got a something that's pretty damn awesome, and I didn't know it existed until I saw it solicited and ordered it. That is Joe Galaxy, and you might be saying, "What the fuck is Joe Galaxy?" Well,
I was just gonna say that.
You were gonna say that? I would have assumed your old indie ass would have known about this, but you just answered my question. I was gonna say, have you read it? But Italian underground artist Massimo Mattioli created Joe Galaxy back in the late 70s into the late 80s. I think it ran for 14 years. Unfortunately, Mr. Mattioli passed away in 2019, so this is a posthumous porting of this stuff over from Italy to the U.S. thanks to Fantagraphics. But it is the complete Joe Galaxy, which is pretty cool. I love that when you can, when they bring something archival over and it's complete. I love that. So I just basically ordered this for two reasons. One, the solicit seemed like it was going to be right up my alley, and two, Fantagraphics. Like, that if it's solicit you like from Fantagraphics, it's going to be good because Fantagraphics has such an incredible hit rate in terms of the quality of what they put out, right? So I was like, okay, this is I'm taking a leap here. I know nothing about this other than what I'm seeing on this page, but I'm going to go for it. I'm so glad I did. It's called the full book is called Joe Galaxy Comics: Space Wonders and Horrors, and on the cover you see a bird-like cartoon character, and sitting on his beak is a 3-tittied, green-skinned, hot alien woman with high heels. So it's kind of like a good vision into what you're about to get with this thing. But this is, in the Vince B. comic should be ridiculous. This fits everything about that statement and then some.
Yeah, I know Mattioli.
Okay.
Yeah, I have Squeak the Mouse and Super.
Yeah, Squeak the Mouse is the fan. Yeah. So Joe Galaxy is basically a play on classic pulp space comics. Think your Flash Gordons, that type of thing. It is clearly satire of the time, which serves it well in some ways. I think probably from an archival perspective makes it a little less accessible in other ways, in the sense that there are a lot of direct in the moment pop culture references, which may be lost on people who weren't around back then, like our old asses were. Right, like a lot of the stuff's from the 80s, you know what I mean? So but that's like anything that's pop culture. But I as I was reading, I was thinking, some of these things might be lost on younger readers, but that's okay, because it wasn't lost on me. But it's basically, like I said, it's the complete works, and he put this out in lots of different forms, but ultimately the centerpiece of it is this character, Joe Galaxy, who is an avian anthropomorphic character. I believe he describes him as half duck, half eagle. But he looks like, he looks like a cartoon bird, man. He's got a eagle beak, it's more of a pointy curved beak. But other than that, yeah, he's kind of squat. It's kind of I don't want to say this because I don't put Vince, it's not in any way like Howard the Duck, but it's almost like a Howard the Duck looking character.
Yeah, he's a duck.
With an eagle beak. Yeah, right. He's like an anthropomorphic character duck, yeah, whatever.
Where you going? He's a duck.
Yeah, but the point is the dude is he's this spacefaring adventurer like Flash Gordon, but he's fairly deplorable, right? He's all about using his abilities to get rich or to get laid, basically, and hijinks ensue. It's an absurdist comedy space romp with all kinds of different adventures. Mattioli's wildly creative dude, so you get everything from little comic strip 1-panel vignettes at certain points to long form, 40-page stories at other points. I think the mix and match of that worked well for me as I was reading it, because it kind of broke up the pacing of the book. It didn't feel. I find sometimes if you read collections of comic strips, it can be hard to do it in one sitting and really get engrossed, right? Because it starts feeling very formulaic. So I like that this wasn't like that. But yeah, it's sexy. I mean, there's tons of, there's sex, there's tons of violence, it's body horror, there's all kinds of different crazy shit. And then, like I said, there's pop culture references. Like at one point in one of the stories, the big bad is Tom from Tom and Jerry, which is funny. At least to me, it was funny. In another, like there's like a pink Dalek from Doctor Who that's like performing sex acts on somebody. Like it's just like crazy shit like that. And again, especially if you consider when it was coming out, it probably been even more poignant. And his art is wonderful. It's psychedelic and like flamboyant and and just grotesque in some points and sexy at other points, and like he draws the women beautiful like pinups, but then he draws the aliens totally gross and wild and really creatively. So there's hyper violence, there's laugh out loud moments. It's just a great collection, and I'm really surprised that I'd never even heard of it, honestly. Shame on me, but I'm so stoked that we were able to get all of it in this form. And it's not a big book. Like you might hear like, oh, the complete works and think it's a tome. It's not like an omnibus. It's see if I have a page. It's 190 pages, so it's totally digestible. I mean, I read it in one sitting this week, and I loved it. I thought it was absolutely great and super highly recommended. If you like absurdist comics, then you'll love this. It's definitely right up our alley. I think all of us would enjoy this because, again, I mean, I think this is in our concentric circle. All three of us would really have a great time. But
one of the reasons why I didn't jump on it immediately was I think the price point's a little too high for this book. Like $35 for 200 pages. It's a little steep. And so
it's archival and really well produced.
Yeah, there's all that. I get it. But I'll probably just wait till Fanta has one of them sales and grab it there.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of Tales to Astonish, honestly. It's the same kind of vibe. Because then there's like interstitial ads for like 1970s porn or like crazy gadgets. You know what I mean? Like there's some fumetti in there of different like celebrities and people over like it's definitely multimedia in parts. It's mainly illustrated, but there are little moments that break it up that are different types of media, and it just felt a lot like what Matt was doing with Tales to Astonish. So
right. Well, I talked about Squeak the Mouse way back.
Yeah. No, I didn't realize actually this was the same person until after I read it, and then saw on Fanta like, oh, also available, and I was like, oh, Squeak the Mouse. Like I didn't connect the two until
so it's unfortunate that Mattioli's claim to fame, at least on this side of the water, is that his Squeak the Mouse was one of the direct inspirations for Itchy and Scratchy from The Simpsons.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So, Groening, he's a huge Zappa fan. He likes everything off the wall. And, when you read Squeak the Mouse, it's kind of hard to erase that from your memory because it's just a cartoon cat and a mouse literally blowing each other up, cutting each other up. If it's, it's bloody.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where it Squeak the, Itchy and Scratchy. So, yay. But yeah, I'll eventually get this. I'm cheap. You know what I mean? If I can get it for less than...
you both should get it and read it, like, or get it from me when... Like, it's great. And again, it's one of those books where I put it down, I think, oh, the booze we both love. Like, even though we all have different tastes to it.
Sure, it's right up my alley. Yeah.
No, but Dap would like it too. It's sexy, it's funny, like, it's the violence is just absurd. It's just not like, again, it's not horror or cringy, or it's just, it's just like...
Hey, while we're on the...
blowing aliens up with a blaster type of thing.
Right. While we're on the subject, you guys gonna spring for the new heavy metal? It's in this issue's previews.
No, I feel like we've been burnt once bitten, twice shy, right?
I'll tell you though, price point's not bad. Cover price.
That's what I thought about the Penthouse comics, though.
No, but cover price for a 200-page magazine is $14.99. After discount, you're paying like less than $10 for it. So $10 for 200 pages, even if half of it sucks, I need to investigate. So I'm in until
I'll let you dive in.
Yeah, I'm in until I'm not. I'm definitely not going for the Frazetta cover. I'm going to go with the Hildebrandt cover because I think that better exemplifies what heavy metal's all about. Anybody can throw a Frazetta cover on an issue and be like, yay, it's for, we see it all the time with Warrant books. And right. Not to slight a Frazetta cover. They're awesome. But that's no big shakes. I think the family licenses work out to anyone these days. But I like, and the fact that Hildebrandt recently passed not so long ago, I just think his cover is really strong. So I went with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You guys weren't surprised at all that there was actually a previews this month? Like when I saw it, I was like, "Holy crap!"
No, because I assume they make
No, I'm
they
sure
have to
it's
make
already
them
printed.
so far in advance. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just
But
pleasantly
I guess,
surprised.
but is this the last one? I guess. I mean, because Diamond is still operating, right? Like they're not.
I don't
they're
know.
not-
Yeah, I don't know.
So I assume they'll keep making
They're
it.
not
until-
paying anybody, but they're operating.
Yeah.
Right, but I'm saying like I don't. I mean, I guess we are counting our days for previews, but I was very grateful to your point that we got one. So yeah.
Yeah. Yep. What else?
I'm
do we
gonna be
have?
like I'm gonna be legit sad that previews more like that has been like I have looked at previews every month for, I mean, 30 years. I can't remember a time I haven't. Like I literally, I don't know. It's gonna be really weird. That's gonna be really strange. Yeah.
Must pass, my friend. And who knows? Maybe the lunar catalog will be something even better. Who knows?
Like you said, though, I don't think there's any chance it'll be paper, though.
Oh no, probably if they're smart, it won't be. Why would you want to go through that expense?
I know, but yeah.
I know there was something really comfortable about, plopping in a nice comfy chair, kicking up your feet, just paging through previews with a Sharpie, just circling everything you wanted. Right. I don't know if you remember, but there was a time when you got that joy twice a month because we had the Capital City catalog.
Yeah.
And
I wasn't on that, though. I wasn't on that.
Yeah. We used to get freaking lenticular or chromatic cards in there and ash cans. And that was the golden age, man.
Happy glory days,
Yeah,
all right, let's roll back to Ghost Machine. You all got more Ghost Machine to talk about.
I do. Now, see, you read Redcoat 10 with Johnny Appleseed. I didn't have a chance to read it yet because I didn't.
9.
9. Okay.
Yeah, it's 9.
Yeah.
It's
That's
not.
not out yet.
I didn't read that yet because I don't have it physically. So again, that I won't do that. But I thought Redcoat 8 could be the best issue of the series so far. 8 was the one with the Bender family. A family of German immigrants who would lure people into their little, what would you call it? A bed and breakfast, a hotel?
No, it was like a cottage. It was like a log.
Yeah, but they would solicit like rooms to let,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and
But it was small though. It was like a small,
very
cottage house.
small.
It was,
yeah. But it was a con. It was a murderous game because what they would do is they would use their daughter, who was quite fetching, to distract the male customers because you would never have a woman alone looking for a room. And if there was a woman and a man, they probably would have turned them away because they have a shtick, right? They lure the men in, they would use the daughter to distract the man, and then they would bludgeon the man over the head, take his belongings, and chuck him in a compartment underneath the floorboards loaded with dead people. And then they would, occasionally throw quicklime on it and repeat. And who shows up at the house but our old friend Simon Pure, who does manage to attract the eye of the daughter. Who knows if she was playing or if her feelings were genuine, but it didn't stop the family or her from cutting him to ribbons. And as we all know, Simon is immortal. So they take his stuff, including his trademark jacket, and they throw him underneath the floorboards, and Simon comes back. And while he's down there, this was the thing that got me, and Simon is so full of shit in his assessment of himself. I love it that he does this. There was a young girl clutching, the skeleton of a young girl, clutching a doll. And that just set Simon off. Not because he cares about anybody. Why would he care about anybody? Right? That he's Simon Pure. He's despicable. He's a rogue. He's got no feelings for anyone but himself. He goes up and just dispatches the whole family, kills them all. And as he's leaving, he sees that image in his mind's eye of that little girl, and he reiterates I'm no hero. I didn't do it for that little girl. I didn't do it for anybody other than myself. Just survival. That's it. And it's like he's so full of shit. He puts on this air like he's so bad and no one likes him. And you get a little bit of backstory too, that Simon was abused by his dad. So Simon's dragging around some heavy shit with him. He was not always treated fairly or justly, especially by someone who should have at least gave him the benefit of the doubt, what with him being his son, right? Just verbally and physically abused. Not good, not good. So Johns is skewing the story to make Simon counter the obvious, to our eyes we see that Simon is a good person. Or at least he's trying to do the right thing. He may claim that the pretenses are survival or just, I'm just trying to get myself out of a sticky situation. I really don't care about these people. But he does. And that's why I love, and he's the first person to tell you, yes, my name is Simon Pure, but I'm anything but. I think you're full of shit, Simon. I think you are pretty pure. Or at least you're working towards it. No, I love this character. He's complex. Not overly so, but I think he's not, what you see is what you get. He's not a cutthroat or a rogue or an opportunist look at how he interacted with Einstein. That relationship was amazing. Doesn't care about the kid, but goes back to save him, right?
For sure.
Yeah, that's a hero. That's a person that does the right thing. And I don't care what you say. I think he's on a streak, man. I think the book looks really good.
I did want to.
Best I've seen him look in ages.
Yeah, right?
One of the reasons I wanted to catch up on this is because I did want to say that, we talk a lot about this, but I want to reiterate, even, and I don't know if I was always like this, but maybe because I'm older now and so there's lots of other things going on in life, but I can read the same comic at two different points and have totally different views on it. Just depending where my mindset's at,
100%. Anybody that goes back and listens to this show knows I am the most unreliable narrator. There's 1 minute I'll fucking hate something and curse the creators, and then maybe a little while later I'll be like, this is the best fucking thing ever.
Well, yeah, because the last I really chimed in on Redcoat was after and I was just like, eh. And I, like I said, then I read the first arc, but I didn't talk about it. I mean, I don't know if you guys did specifically, but I don't remember. But I didn't really talk about it if you did. And then I'm like, okay. Then I saw it on your guys' list. I'm like, all right, let me catch up again. And a couple things. One, I will agree with you both that I think. I just don't I don't love Hitch's art, but I agree with you that it's pretty damn good in this book. It's I can't front. It's pretty clean, and obviously after 9 issues, it's good. It really is good. I also think the book is overall a much better book than I alluded earlier on in the run. I do find it really fun and creative in a lot of ways. I think, and so this gets me to the point, and this is superficial and it's ridiculous, but I know I've really zeroed in why doesn't this book do it for me like it does for the Maboos? Dude, it's just the costume. I can't stand the costume, and I can't stand that he's 150 years into his immortality and he hasn't decided to change his outfit. Get out of the Redcoat. I know he's called Redcoat, so do that's the whole point. But that bothers me. Every other immortal in every story I've ever read, they change with the times, and then Benedict Arnold doesn't fucking wear a fucking what because he lives so it's dude, just wear some fly drip, wear 1800s drip, and again, I realize it's absurd, and the whole point of the book is that the dude looks like a red coat and sticks out, but that's the thing that bothers me is I think the costume's corny, and it takes away from what I think is overall otherwise a really well done book.
I love that he clings to the past like he does. He just won't let go.
Yeah.
He just won't.
No, and I get that's all part of the conceit, but it just seems ridiculous to me.
It's okay. I think if the costume is rubbing you the wrong way, then the book is probably always going to rub you the wrong way.
Sure, I don't think he's ever not going to be in the costume.
No.
The book's called Redcoat, so
I don't think it's going anywhere.
Yeah. And I know people are listening to this being like, well, why doesn't it bother superheroes with the same? And it's a good question. And I guess in my mind, it's because their costume is their identity. They're often trying to hide their identity. In this, he's just a dude who just happens to wear the fucking same clothes nonstop. I don't know, you're just he's a regular guy. He's just a regular guy. So why wouldn't you change with the times? I don't know.
All right, let me ask you this question. If in the Happy Days universe, if Fonzie lived to be 90, do you think he would still be wearing the trademark leather jacket?
No, because Fonzie didn't wear the leather jacket through the end of Happy Days. He started wearing a blue denim jacket.
You're going the other way around. He started with a blue jacket, and
or
then
the other way around. Yeah.
and then he adopted the leather. And I think I'm totally convinced that if he didn't jump the shark, he wore the damn leather jacket.
He did wear it on he wore it on the first game. Yes, he did.
I think there are things that make people happy, that make them feel comfortable and safe and secure, and I think that's Redcoat's jacket.
Oh yeah, listen, again, I'm not even going to try and argue with you about that in the context of the story and who the character is, it makes sense he keeps wearing the same outfit. I'm just saying that I've isolated why this book doesn't hit me in the way it probably should relative to the quality of it,
right?
Or the way it hits you two, or the way it hits a lot of our friends that love the book. It's just because the costume bothers me, and I know he's never costume, and that's just a quirk. It's it's one of those nits that you just can't get over. And I'm like,
no, I get it. It happens.
Yeah, but it's a great book. It's really well done. It reminds me a lot of Jack of Fables on it.
Right. That's the vibe I get from it, Jack of Fables.
Yeah.
And I think Hitch's art is perfect for the book. Now, I'm not a huge fan of Hitch drawing superheroes or when he's in that element. His art is he's very good. But it just seems like this, a more nuanced. I still think Simon's a superhero of sorts. He does have a power. He can't die. He's immortal.
Sure.
So I think there's a superhero spin on the book, but it's not a traditional superhero book. Like we saw the Masons, and they had their little regalia that Hitch drew, and I think he did a great job on it. It was kind of a little bit like the Hate Monger, right? Or the Fear Monger. Which one is it? It's the Hate Monger, right? And
Hate Monger.
I just think he nails all of the visual aspects of the time, place, the eras in which the story progresses, right? Everything looks authentic to me. Now, whether or not it is another person's guess. But I think that when he shows a ballroom with all these people in their fancy dress and in comes Simon Pure, that looks authentic to me. Whether or not it is, whatever. So if you can convince me to suspend my disbelief that these are just lines on paper long enough for the author and you to mesmerize me with the narrative, what more do you want for $3.99? I'm not trying to convince you any other way. We all have what we love, but this is one of the books that I sit down and just whoever decided at Ghost Machine to do the cardstock covers, I thought that was a masterstroke. That's the one thing that the book feels so good in your hands, right? You don't have to worry about pressing on the cover with your thumb too tightly and you're going to pick up ink on a self cover. That's a bitch. I'm sure we've all done that, right? When you hold a book and your thumb maybe a little bit greasy or something, or the oil's on your body and you just press on that thing and you pick it up and you're like, oh shit, I pulled up ink. That's not good, right? For the collector aspect of it. I just think that the cover adds so much value, the stock. It's so smart. And the fact that the interiors are 100% Ghost Machine. There's nothing else in there. No other image books. It's all imprint ads. It's beautiful. Timelines, fucking Hotmu pages. The books are great. And it kills me. It makes me sad that Jason does not acknowledge one of the premier illustrators working in comics right now, Gary Frank.
Oh.
Dude, Gary Frank's a heavy freaking hitter. Why aren't you reading Geiger?
Again, similar to Redcoat, I don't like the character design. Wow. I do not like skull faces. I do not like the radio. I just doesn't and again, it's I can't give you a good reason why. I just don't like that. It's why I don't like Ghost Rider. I just don't like that look. It doesn't do anything for me. I don't know why. It just doesn't appeal to me in any way. I just
okay.
Again, there's so many comics.
I'm not going to be able to convince you otherwise. Just I
can't tell you that Geiger isn't a good comic. Again, you and Dap both love it. Hassan, Brian, they all love it. Everyone, lots of people whose opinions I value and trust, love the book. I'm not saying it's not a good book, but I just don't like the character design. I'm it just doesn't do it for me.
Tap, what'd you think about
Again, I'm not saying it's a rational or even justifiable opinion. I'm just telling you.
Oh, you're talking to somebody who has irrational opinions on many, many, many things.
Yeah, I know it sounds ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah. I just praised a fucking cartoon hawk duck that fucking walks around and shoots laser beams, but like I can't tell you why Geiger. I'm like, that doesn't make sense. Like I don't like. I'm looking at. I'm like, I don't get it.
I don't remember. Did you enjoy Doomsday Clock or not?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay. Visually, you enjoyed it?
Yeah.
Just wanted to. I'm not just trying to. I'm looking at my list, just making sure.
I don't know. Other than giving you guys shit, I don't know that I've ever really like Gary Frank. I think is a very good artist. I don't like.
No. You said
because the Superman and the Legion book that he did was great,
dude. I do not forget anything. When we were talking about Geiger,
no,
I don't.
You forget shit. Yes, you do.
When we were talking about Geiger, and we mentioned the fact that Paul Pelletier did 2 fill-in issues, and you're like, "Oh, that's a step up from Gary Frank."
I was fucking with you, though. Like, I'm not even reading the book. Like, how can I read? You can't take me seriously. Like, I'm not even reading Geiger. Like,
but see, that's hurtful. Like, you would say something like that, knowing.
Because I'm giving you shit.
I would take a bullet for Gary Frank. I love Paul Pelletier.
Well, that's okay. Now you're being ridiculous.
No, I seriously would. I think Gary Frank in the Pantheon.
I hope you would take a bullet for me or Dap, not Gary Frank. I mean,
I would 100% take a bullet for you or Dap. Depends though.
Okay.
Like Dap, I take one in. No, let me just flesh this out. Dap, I take one in the chest, around there. Jason, maybe a knee, a leg, or like an arm.
That's not even true. That's not even true. You love me like your little brother. You love me so much.
I do. I can't help it. I want to kill you, but I love you. It's just so weird.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but so let's swing the camera over to Dap. And Dap, did you love 9 and 10?
Of Geiger?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was. Let me bring him up.
Let me ask you because I didn't read them. Did radiation play a role? Was he?
Well, no. There's a problem. There's a problem because he defeats the king, and in doing so, his powers go wonky. To the point where he gets a Wolverine like berserker rage and almost kills Nate. And Nate has to. Okay, his buddy.
Nate is okay. Yeah.
Nate is his none too smart. Yeah.
It was a stray dog that ended up following him, and Nate means well. He used to work for the Queen. He used to be a henchman.
He's a nuclear knight.
But he's right. He's seen the errors of ways.
This is all French to me. I don't know who the Queen is. I don't know what you're talking about. So.
All right. Well, anyway.
Vince would have to explain that because that's back from Volume 1, which I barely skimmed.
Dude, I never read Volume 1. But that's what the weird thing about it. I have the hardcover on order, but I've never read it.
Oh, okay, it's on order.
Yeah. So he almost kills Nate, but Nate gets the control rods back in, but the power's still freaking wonky, and Tariq is out of it. And who enters the picture? My dude, Junkyard Joe. Jason, Junkyard Joe.
Cool.
Who was originally sent to eliminate Tariq. And when Tariq sees him, he's like, oh, fuck, it's Joe. So he's thinking, all right, this is round 2, I guess. But no, something has changed in between iterations of, or meetings, let's just say. And that's basically everything between 9 and 10. But you get a little bit of, there's a little bit of that foreshadowing that I hate within issue 10.
Well, in issue 9.
9 is it? Yeah.
We get 8 panels where we see the Queen because the king was killed, as it's just said.
If that was the purse at the end of the race, like, why are you even racing, dude? That
was a kamikaze mission.
As far as I'm concerned.
Then we hear metallic robotic feet walking around the areas that Geiger and Nate were just in. There's a panel of a Gary Frank drawn Simon Pure,
looking good.
Now apparently he's in the future looking for the glowing man, And then we see a panel of somebody who says, "This can't be right. I've gone too far," which I didn't know who that was until I read
the Northerner.
Redcoat,
Yeah, it's a Northerner.
Number 9. Yep.
I don't know how they tie
then,
in, though. I don't know how any of this ties in, which is awesome, right?
It is awesome. It's Johns is doing a really great job of telling a story while at the same time I can't imagine the board with the red string that he's got going on over here to figure out how he knows where everything's going to play into part, because there's a lot. It's not just him either. I mean, with the Unnamed War, it's pretty much him. But I mean, you've got the other things like the Rocketfellers and Halo and Orange. You've got the offshoot stories that really don't tie into
that's
this,
Tomasi.
so he doesn't have to really worry about that, right? Yeah. So But as far as what Johns has in store, this is the Ghost Machine stuff. I don't bother with the solicits. I don't look to see what I don't look to see what's coming up. I don't care. I want to find out when I'm reading the issue. And Johns is just doing he's a deft hand at this. He knows exactly where everything lines up. I'm just along for the ride. Number 9 was wild, and then 10 we get a little bit of flashback. We get Tariq's family, and that's when he kind of that's when Joe shows up, and there's a reveal at the end of the issue that I wasn't expecting. So I'm quite interested to find out more about it.
Yeah, who's she? Where's she from? She hot.
She is. She's
my type. She's that platinum blonde. That's exactly my Silver Sable type. Yeah. I don't know who she is, but I gotta know. But Tariq did all right for himself. His wife is fine.
Oh yeah.
Very fine. It's the typical Gary Frank. Like Gary Frank loves his women with short hair.
Short hair,
like
yes.
Midnight Nation
100%.
is low. Yeah, but he does that very well. But and again, Tariq is not like Simon Pure. He's not the cookie cutter hero. He is, but he's an asshole and he's a bastard and he does things that just like.
They both dole out justice. It doesn't matter like how they may be perceived or what they think is in the general picture what is right and wrong. But if they see an injustice, they're going to act on it.
Yeah, and I'm with Tariq. Like that one panel where he just plunges the control rods through the guy's chest. Like I would do the same thing. If you're in a war, you do not take prisoners. You destroy your enemies. And I think that's smart.
All they're trying to do is just get from A to B, and because they got to pick up truck of supplies, they're a target, and I mean that's just the kind of world this is unfortunately. But there was a nice little reward at the end because they get some books. But
that's the thing. That's the thing that I really love about Geiger is that there's a component of Tariq and the book. The series as a whole that is centered around books and reading. And it's like, yes, that's what we need. We need to perpetuate the joy of holding a physical thing in your hand and just turning the page and just being taken away by the author. That is my favorite part of Geiger's. Whenever Johns manages to work in books and reading, it's like, oh man, you got me, you son of a bitch. This is beautiful. So there you go. Yeah. Jason, you should be I know you don't like whatever. All right.
Again, I'm not besmirching your guys' evaluation of the book.
If you really, I'm sure you've regular listeners to this show, if you haven't at least sampled the Ghost Machine books yet, I implore you. David implores you, even Jason to an extent, implore you to read them because they're so freaking good. They're so good. They say when David Bowie died, the world jumped into a different time stream, and they claim the same thing happened with the death of David Lynch, of course. But one of the benefits of us jumping when Bowie died was like Johns became a really, really good writer. So I'm taking it. Like, now I'm being facetious. I do like his work, but I've never appreciated his work on a level that I do right now.
I think it's super fun to see him. Really, all these guys do their own career, their own stuff, and then crush it. Like, because Johns for so long was just like company guy, right? Like, he even went on to be a major DC executive, above comics at at the TV and movie level, and it's just great to see that.
Is he still doing that?
No,
I don't think so. No, I would
good
imagine
for him.
he wouldn't be able to do that anymore and be doing this. So
Good for him. Speaking of,
I could be wrong, but I don't think he is. Someone's correct me if I'm wrong, but
speaking of TV and movies, far be it from me to bring this up, but it is my favorite Marvel book, mostly. What did you guys think of the Fantastic Four trailer? Did you watch it?
Loved it. Thought it was awesome. I wasn't expecting the 50s kitschy sci-fi vibe, which I'm here for. I wasn't expecting it because I assumed it. I mean, I think it is set in modern times, but I really loved that it had that sort of that aesthetic feel to it.
Nice.
Did you love it? Did you love it?
Did I love it?
Yeah.
I didn't dislike it.
Okay.
No, that's enough right now. I didn't come out of it thinking, fuck this. There's nope. Mm-hmm. I really tried not to judge and just let it play out. And I was like, okay, all right, benefit of the doubt. We'll see where it goes.
How'd you think Thing looked?
Well, I think it's not a high bar.
It's a low bar. He's the best he's looked in the movies.
It's the best he's ever looked in the movies. Yeah,
right.
But I mean, Chickless looked like the Thing with cancer, and the fucking
it's fucked up.
I'm just saying,
looked like a heap.
Yeah,
like a junkyard scrap.
The Roger Corman one looked like a guy in a Thing costume. It was just weird. I thought Ben looked great. I think I don't know the actress's name, but I think she's a acceptable Susie.
Vanessa Kirby?
I think she's got a little Lois Lane to her. She's not hot enough to be Sue, in my opinion, but she's cute.
I mean, who
she
is
was fine.
though?
She was fine in the
Who
Mission
is?
Impossible movies, but yeah, I mean, it's in a movie like this to be Sue Storm. Remember the First Family? It's not. She's talented, but yeah, I don't. That's not what I imagined when I think of Sue.
Sue's like an IG dime piece hoe that also happens to be smart and a good wife. Like in the comics, she's always drawn to be like an absolute perfect 10 blonde bombshell, and so
Not always.
I get.
Yeah.
In her form that we all prefer, right? Like in the majority of the time, so I would prefer a voluptuous, banging on type of blonde for that role. But I get that, she's, to your point, like a very good actress, and she's obviously very attractive. So
and young enough where if they're going to do multiple movies with her, she can grow, she can age with the character. So
yeah. So no real complaints. The only nit I have, and again, could be just because it's 1 millisecond of scene, and I'm going to obviously let the film speak for itself. But I thought that the Galactus moment looked a little weak because it looked to me, at least from the little bit we saw, that Galactus, from a scale perspective, was pretty small. Like, Galactus is literally bigger than the planet.
Yeah,
so it's
right, you don't know the context, though. It could be...
No, I know. I know that. But I'm saying, in that scene, it looks like he's kind of, like, the size of, like, I don't know, like a skyscraper, which doesn't really make sense to me. But yeah, I'll let the movie play. I mean, I'm not going to hold that against the film.
It could be reminiscing about... I don't think that they littered the first movie with Galactus and Doom. That's a lot. Because if you bring in Galactus, then you have to bring in a freaking Herald. And what do? Do you introduce the Silver Surfer? We've been down that
Silver
road.
Surfer... No, Silver Surfer isn't it? It's
right,
it's the girl from it's the girl from Ozark. She plays Silver Surfer.
Right, but as a remember when type scene, or is it?
No, she's in it. I think she's the Herald of Galactus. Galactus is definitely the main villain of the movie.
Oh, see, I didn't know that. I thought it was Doom.
Yeah.
No,
I think Doom is in this movie. Doom is going to be like the new villain of the.
Doom is basically to replace Kang, but I don't know if.
Although they're talking, they were bringing Kang back. They're actually in negotiations with bring him back. So
the same guy
with Majors or
with Majors. They're talking to Majors about bringing him back.
I don't think he was that strong that they got to bring him back. They could have another.
Kevin Feige met last week to talk about bringing him back. So.
Okay.
It's like nobody cares about.
He's uncanceled.
Anymore. Yeah. Well, no, bro, I don't think anybody's canceled.
Dude, I was saying nobody's canceled anymore, and like DEI doesn't exist anymore. Like, like it's Martin Luther King Day's about to go away. Like we're I mean,
yeah.
I mean, not to turn this political, but
yeah, protect your life and your family, and don't speak
that
on
stuff
it.
is for sure.
Yeah. But
anywho, but yes,
no, I'm optimistic.
Is possibly coming back.
I'm optimistic.
When it was when they were talking about it, when everybody was talking about it on the Slack, I shoved it directly into my watch later folder, so this way we could watch it on the TV screen later at that night. And yeah, it was. I had a big kick out of it. There were, we see almost everybody's powers, because I know, the stretch could be a little wonky as a visual effect, and because Miss Marvel doesn't really do the stretching in the movies. It's all like hard light. They
gave her completely different powers. Yeah.
So I mean, and that could just very well be because it would look cheesy. So yeah, I'd imagine that Reed will have powers. It'd be nice if it stretched, but we'll see. But yeah, I thought I thought it absolutely looked great. Seeing Herbie just gave me a chuckle. The aesthetics,
oh yeah, that's right.
are fantastic. I like Pedro Pascal. I like Ben Moss. I like the cast. I like what they're doing, or at least what they teased. And I appreciate the fact that they didn't tie it to anything MCU that already exists. So it looks on the surface that it's its own thing, and I can appreciate that if they want to do.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be cameos in it though.
Yeah, or if this is still even the same universe that the other here, because again,
if it's not, it will be.
The Marvels, the stinger scene at the end of the Marvels was Carol in another universe. So I'm not trying to write anything for them, so I'm real curious to see how things are going to play out.
But to your point, again, maybe we don't know if they've changed this, but to your point, this entire next phase was supposed to be about multiverses. So yeah, I mean, I think you're right to at least bring that up as a possibility.
The Marvels is horrendously bad. I think it was.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't think it was.
I can't go there. I liked it a lot. I thought it was. I
like Miss Marvel as a character, so I mean, I'm
I think it's fun. I think it's very silly and slight.
Yes.
I don't think it's but it's not. It's not.
It's not Infinity Gauntlet.
It's not Ant-Man 3. It's not. It's.
Yeah.
Wait, you don't like Ant-Man?
I can.
Ant-Man 3 was rough, dude.
What was Was that the one with
that was
Michelle Pfeiffer?
That's
where they
when they go back and find mom.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was nasty. You're right. Yeah, that was nasty.
There were moments here.
I tried to rep for it at the time, but it's relative to the quality we get from a Marvel movie. It's rough.
The Ant-Man's probably the only the Ant-Man franchise is probably the only one that's really struggled from first to second to third movies. I like Paul Rudd. I think Ant-Man. I think Scott Lang, the character in the MCU, is great, but its own movies, they're not super.
I agree. I think Ant-Man in other MCU films is better than the Ant-Man films. I think he's a great character in those films as a supporting character for sure.
Nice. What else do we have? We got to have more stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I gotta. It's somewhat of a revisit, but actually, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because I don't think it's a pure revisit, which is that way back when 7 to Eternity was coming out, I know we all enjoyed the beginning of it because I remember we all like passionately talked about it together and collabed about it. And then the series wrapped up, and then years went on, and then it got collected, and then we got a hardcover thing back in 2022, I think, and then just recently we got. And I give Image credit; like they're really good about putting out the stuff in multiple forms. So like they just put out the compendium, which is the trade paperback and of the whole thing of all 17 issues of Seven to Eternity, and you can actually get that from Cheap Graphic Novels for a very, very slim $24.49.
What for all of it?
17 issues
For the trade, yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome.
isn't that incredible? Yeah. But that being said, I was in my Remender bag, you know, because I want to read some good Remender, and I had the hardcover, of course, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna take this because I had to go to work. As you guys know, I had to go to DC for some business. So I'm like, I'm gonna grab this hardcover and just, you know, bring it with me and see if I have time to read it. And I did. You know, I was chilling in my hotel room for the 2 nights and was like, all right, I'm gonna read this. So I read the whole thing, reread Seven to Eternity. And then as I was as I finished, I thought, you know what? I'm like, I don't know that we ever really on the show discussed the series beyond like the first few issues. Like, I don't know that we ever like talked about the conclusion of it. Even, you know what I mean? Like, and in fact, I don't even know that you guys ever finished it. I don't like. I assume you did, but I
didn't. And I was hardcover to finish it. And
there you go.
The Bitter Root is on the shelf right behind me. I know I have Seven to Eternity somewhere around here. But yeah, continue, please.
Did you also not finish it, Vince?
I did not.
I haven't. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I did not finish
Yeah, so it's interesting. So, all right. So, first question is, why didn't you guys finish it? Because like that's unusual, right? Because like you both loved it. You both loved it when we first started talking about it. In fact, Vince, you led the conversation.
Yes.
Even though it's a Remender book, and yet here we are. What I mean, I think we're 7 years later. You never finished it.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's a problem I have that's very specific to Remender.
Okay.
If you noticed, Sacrificers, I loved that series when it first started. Talked up the first 1 to 5 issues, maybe more, and then I haven't read anything past that. And and I think the fact is, or the reason is, that his books are very complex in that you have to be aware of what came before to appreciate what's happening now.
Sure.
And that's I mean, there's Savage Dragon. You need to be aware of a whole bunch of things to be for the current issues to really resonate. And so it's not a problem with just Remender. It's like I've been in a position where I want to just read something that's going to make me feel good and I'm going to enjoy it. And it's been it's been a while. Whether it's manga or single issues, the Ghost Machine stuff, I can read it. There hasn't been a whole bunch of stuff before it. I can remember it all. But like the Remender books, look at Deadly Class. Like I started strong on that too, and it's just I fall off these things because they require in the 5 to 6 days that we have between episodes, they require me to do more work than I may have time for. Like I still I have the Seven to Eternity hardcover. I own it. When am I going to read it? That's another question. But I think Remender layers his work, and most of the stuff is so complex, and a lot of the characters and the stories are interwoven, and I'm just like, I can't do this in 4 days. I can't. And so I won't even bring it I won't even read it. And I don't think that's not a slam against him. Like I appreciate work like that the author injects that much mythology into the work. It should be like, I should be reading it, but I don't. I have the books. I have all of the books. And I just don't read them. I don't know what it is. I sure know what it is. But the fact that we are on a timetable here and we have to bring stuff every week, I'm not going to read Seven to Eternity in 1 week and talk about it. No. I'm not like you. I can't consume however many. So you're talking 17 issues times 22 at the least. That's a good amount of pages. I'm not going to be able to digest that in the space of 5 to 6 days.
It's like a 440 page
fucking book.
Like
I'm looking at it now. Yeah, I found it. It's
Yeah.
massive, and
I
and
love
it's not
Rick's
like you
work.
can
I really
just
do.
breeze through it either, because you've
Right.
got Opena and Aaron in this book. So it's like that. You got
Yeah, the art's just stupid on that book. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I wanted to bring it back, because I did reread it, and then I thought, I don't like, and so I'm glad I did, because it seems like it's kind of what I thought, was that you guys didn't finish it, which is, but it is, yes, first of all, it is an absolutely complex book. Like, I do think you're served well to read it in a day or two, like, as a complete story. I think that will serve you better than and I would assume anyone reading it these days would be doing it that way, because, who's buying the issues at this point. But I thought that... What? What do you mean?
No, I'm just saying, wow. Yeah, you're not buying the issues because it's already done.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But like, the one thing I had not... Or maybe I had forgotten, maybe I realized it in the moment, but I had forgotten over the last few years since rereading it, is that it's like... It's a lot of the political... Rick is obviously very politically motivated. He's very much a progressive and takes the things going on in the world very hard, which
extremely hard.
There, but
yeah,
but I didn't realize how political this book was, or I'd forgotten how political this book was. Rereading it, because and I wish I could find the page to actually read the quote, because I'm going to bastardize it. But there's a point in the story where basically one of the cast of characters is talking about like how the how they got to the point they're at, where they had this the Mud King ruling everybody, and effectively what they're saying in this passage is, part of the issue is that we have these progressive ideas that are well intended but very complicated and hard for the average person to understand how the implementation would work. And ultimately, people want simple explanations. They want to understand what they're being asked to do, what they're being told to do. And sometimes simplicity wins out over intent. And I was just like, oh shit. I'm like, damn. I'm like, my guy was on it when he wrote this. But like, in the wrapper of like this awesome sci-fi fantasy epic, I'm like, oh man, like he was getting his shit off in this, even though he was telling us a great sci-fi fantasy story, right? And obviously very prescient considering where we are now. But no, this story is great, man. Like it is absolutely complex. There's a ton of characters, and they're all intricately intertwined over time. So you certainly have to pay attention. But like you guys said, I mean, Opena is just a god level artist. Characters all are distinctive looking, and it's just, they're wonderful. They all have cool powers. They all have their great character arcs. And even the title at first, like when we reviewed the first few issues, it was like, 7 to Eternity, because the premise was that these 7 Mozak, which are basically mutants of this world, they capture the fascist emperor, and they want to kill him, but they can't kill him. Like, they just can't kill him straight up, because he's basically, his power is that he makes deals with people, kind of like the devil. And once he makes a deal with you, where he promises you what you want, he then can use you to see and to read your mind and see what you're looking at. And by this point in this world story, he's done this to millions of people. So they can't just kill him, because they kill him, it's like Dracula, like it's a psychic break. It will kill everybody that's connected to him. So what they have to do is, it's like Lord of the Rings. They have to go to this place like Mordor, and they have to sever his link to all of his people before they can kill him, so that they don't kill millions of people and create genocide. So that's the quest, is the 7 go on this journey. But ultimately, the book resolves in a way that you don't see in the beginning, and is an even more poignant reference to the idea of 7 to Eternity. That's like an absolute gut punch of like immeasurable proportion, and you're like, oh shit, that's what you mean by 7 to Eternity. And it's like, it just was so well done, and I'm like, man, like this is like, the point is, because like I haven't, some of Remender's recent works, I mean, I love Sacrifice, that's its own thing, but like some of the other ones, like Seasons, and what's the one with the skaters?
Grommets.
Yeah, Grommets, and even like the 2 Bengal books, like they've been okay, but like they haven't, to me, been like why I love Remender like why he's like my boo, you know.
Yeah.
And then I reread Seven Eternity, like this is Remender, like this is like why I think he's like why he's one of my favorite writers of all time, because it's like holy shit, like everything about this book is so well laid out, like from the design of the characters to the dialogue, to like the intertwining relationships, to the betrayal, to the twist. Like it's just all so intricately but perfectly executed. At the end, you put the book down, you're like, oh shit, it all wraps up and it all makes sense. And I didn't see some of the stuff coming, and you know, just bless up. So I mean, man, it's just a great book, and I wanted to bring it back to the table too, because I said, you know, people can. I mean, in a world where we're talking about how expensive comics are, you can read the whole 17 issues now for, you know, $25, which is fucking great. Like that is, you know, you're not going to get a better bargain than that in American comics. So highly recommend to people that haven't ever checked it out. It's a wonderful, wonderful story that will absolutely pay off. Like the investment you put into it, as complex as it is, will pay off in spades. So,
right. I think you're exactly right. I think the Rick is a very moralistic person at his core.
Yeah, for sure. Like black and white, though. Like
yeah. But so knowing that the conceit that okay, the Mud King is tethered to all of these people that made deals with him, and so therefore the characters balk at the opportunity to kill him, knowing that if they kill him, all these people fall by the wayside. That's entirely Rick. Like knowing him, that seems like the decision that he would make. Like, I can't do it. I can't. All these people pay the price. I would, without hesitation, kill the Mud King, knowing full well that all those millions of people would go with him. Mm-hmm. I didn't make that decision for them. So the need to eradicate this fascist despot that is just running roughshod over the planet is a larger need than the lives of the millions of people who made decisions or who made a conscious effort to make a bargain with him. So they're locked in. That was their choice. I would 100% totally, if I had the opportunity, 100% kill that person.
Well, I know what you're saying, but what if it also meant killing the people you care about the most, your family?
Well, hopefully. I mean, going into it, I would make sure that no one close to me had ever made a deal.
That's the thing, but
right.
But that's not the case, though.
But so what are we talking about? Immediate family or?
Yeah.
That's a problem. That's a problem.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
And that's a great wrinkle in the story. Like, you have the gumption to kill this person. You will do it. You know that all these people are going down, but dude, your son made a deal with him. Right. So what do you do? Do you kill your son? That's where you get into the Remender wrinkle, where it's like, okay, so that adds more layers to it. And totally, I would be the same way. I would be like, no, we can't kill this guy. But if it was unknowns and people that weren't connected with me, man, his throat would be slit long time.
Yeah. And I should mention, because again, I'm assuming, like, I always assume probably wrongly when we talk about, like, that everybody that listens to this podcast has been with us from jump and has listened to every episode. But, like, but that's a faulty assumption. So this story is, effectively, it is a different world, an alien world. And it's somewhat post-apocalyptic in that it's pretty much a dystopian environment. It's hard out there for the people that are living. There is a dude named Garlus Solm, a.k.a. the Mud King, a.k.a. the God of Whispers. He is the fascist ruler. Then there's these group of people called the Mozak, which I said are like mutants. They have largely been wiped out, kind of like the Jedi Knights. You know, he's wiped most of them out, but there are some on the fringes still trying to fight and depose him to free the people. Mozak basically are Mozak powers, which is why I say they're like mutants. And the story centers around this group of people that capture him to, like I said, to try and sever the ties and then kill him. But the lead of the story is a guy named Adam Osiris, and he's a Mozak, but like he's from a family. The Osiris family were once this high and mighty family, and they were viewed as betrayers for reasons I won't get into for the sake of brevity. But this is a family whose name is literally, you know, synonymous with like Benedict Arnold. Like the whole world views the Osiris family as like traitors. And Adam's trying to disregard that perspective to help this quest because he has as much hate, if not more hate, for the Mud King as anybody. But really early on in the story, so I don't think, I mean, we covered this part of the story, so I don't think I'm spoiling it for you guys, but like the 7 things go awry, and Adam takes the Mud King away from the other 7 and goes on his own journey. And so again, they think, oh, he's betrayed us again, and then stuff happens from there, which I'll leave unsaid for the sake of because even though the story's a couple years old now, but it's it's super complex, and Adam's daughter's part of the group, and it's what's one of the things I think is great about this is that the characters are largely not. Almost all of them aren't exactly what you think they are at the start. Like, they like whatever motivations we think these characters all have for why they're doing what they're doing. Ultimate goal is at the start of this book are, for the most part, save for 1 or 2 characters, like completely upended by the end of the book. People we thought were benevolent are not. People we thought were, malevolent maybe aren't. There's a lot of gray in there, like for people maybe that have personal motivation. So maybe they're doing a thing that you would consider not the right decision, but they're doing it for good reasons. So it's just like there's a lot of, at the heart of this book is kind of that idea of how does one make these tough choices when the consequences are so directly personal if you make the other choice.
Yeah.
And
smart writer, very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to get back on this. I'm just gonna.
Yeah, so dust off the hardcovers.
I will.
Sit down by the fire one of these nice nights. Grab yourself a cocktail and dig in.
Wow, look at you.
Yep, and the Opeña art's ridiculous. It's like he's so good, dude. Like,
he is
he's so fucking good.
Yeah. Well, come on, don't slight Heron too. I mean, Heron's great.
Oh yeah, for sure. But Opeña draws like 15 of the 7.
Right. And it's really funny that you're just like, oh, I don't like the fantasy comics. This is a sci-fi. It's a fantasy masquerading as a sci-fi comic.
Well, first of all, I don't ever say I don't like the fantasy comics. I say it's a hard sell for me, just like detective stuff is for you. Like there have been, look, you love Brubaker and Phillips.
I do.
But you don't generally love whodunit detective stories.
I don't know anymore. I don't know.
Maybe you're coming around, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, some of my favorite things of all time are fantasy, right? Like, I mean, Tolkien's like one of my, I love fantasy, but I find, for me, that there's a bar where, like, if it's over the bar, it could end up being one of my favorites ever, but a lot of fantasy, like, doesn't hit me. Like, I think you guys, and each of us would be different for each genre, but, like, for me, the average fantasy story isn't going to hit for me. Whereas like it may be fine for you guys, right? Like whereas like Dap with horror is a very hard sell, but you and I, Vince, like we've fairly maybe a lower bar for horror. Where like same kind of thing like Slice of Life. Like I probably have a lower bar for Slice of Life than you guys. Like it's just like when fantasy hits, it hits hard for me. But like I don't.
Right.
I seem to dislike more fantasy than you guys like.
This is neither here nor there, but the current assignment in my illustration classes, you have to illustrate a page from a novel, right? But it's all random. They pick a page from a bag, and whatever they get, they get. And there's sci-fi, and there's noir in there, and there's fantasy, and there's some Warhammer and some Russian sci-fi, and Burroughs is in there, and Hunter S. Thompson and stuff. So there's a very wide splay of genres within it. One of the kids got, and I put this in there purposely to see how they would solve the problem. They got the page from the first, from the Fellowship of the Rings, where it's Bilbo's birthday. And it's like Bjorn, son of Binky, son of Bap, son of,
I love it.
And the way she came to me, she's like, the fuck am I going to do with this? And I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. That's the page you got. So you got to illustrate it.
That's great.
Yeah. So funny. And I put that in there for that reason, to just see how they navigate those waters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So funny.
You're a good professor.
Oh, we have a good time. Yeah. We have a good time. But there are turbulent waters at the school now because there's a brand new director or head of the program who doesn't really have good social skills. And is not a rational thinking human being. He gave them, first of all, before the first class, he told them they had to have a X page PowerPoint presentation, picking their favorite painting from these eras and tell why, and then cross-reference and blah, 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 before the first class. So I said, you're not in a good place. This is going to be a bitch of a class. Their first assignment, 8 paintings based on texture. There was a chrome bathroom sink shut off. There was a stack of rocks, and they had to do 8 5x5 or greater paintings for the first assignment. So me being who I am, I said to my students, I said, if anybody's in that class and they're struggling and they're not going to be able to finish our assignment on time, you can have extra time because that teacher's a dickhead and is demanding far too much from you. I didn't say it in those words. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, oh, okay. And I'm like, well, don't abuse it. If you're close, like, bring it, but don't use it as an excuse to not have the assignment in. You know what I mean? Like, just be real with me and I'll be real with you. And it worked. And Mia was the one who needed extra time. She painted. She painted from Friday morning at 10 o'clock till Sunday night at 1:30 in the morning.
Dang.
Like, she took breaks to eat and shower, and, she took maybe an hour here or there to just relax. But she painted the entire weekend to get those 8 paintings done. And she got them done. And then, get this, they all go to the class, and he's just like, oh, if you don't have them done, just finish them by the end of the semester. And I'm like, that is the worst fucking thing he could ever tell you. Because now there's no repercussions. Mm-hmm. Whatever. I'm off on a tangent. But you know what? That's what we do here at 11 O'Clock Comics.
That's right.
Sponsored by CheapGraphicNovels.com, my friends. CheapGraphicNovels.com is going to get you all the stuff. OGNs, trade paperbacks, manga, omnibus editions, art books, all the stuff. Get 7 to eternity for cheapness at CheapGraphicNovels.com. You listen to the thing at the beginning of the episode, you'll know the secret. If you're a first-time customer, there is a bounty waiting for you. CheapGraphicNovels.com. And specials that Dap talked about. Wherever you listen to this, please leave us a review. We would really appreciate it because reviews are important. They jostle the algorithm and they make other people see our stuff. And the more the merrier, all that stuff. And check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/11 O'Clock Comics. We'd love to have you as a member of the family. I am continuing. I need to talk about this because I have had this on my list for the past 3-4 episodes. I'm continuing my read of Kazuo Umezz's Orochi. Specifically, Volume 3. Jason, have you read this one?
No, not yet.
Okay. This volume could be subtitled Fathers and Sons, because that's essentially what the 2 stories are about. They are freaking bizarre. In the first story called Stage, a young man named, a baby, essentially, named Yuchi, sees his father struck by a hit-and-run driver. The father eventually succumbs to the injuries, and Yuchi lives his entire life in pursuit of the person that hit his father. To the point where he devotes his life to singing. And he had no interest in singing before that. Becomes obsessed with records and pop tunes, and sings along with them. And he gets a job singing on television, and it just spirals out of in weird directions from there. I won't reveal the punchline, but it just the obsession this kid has with finding his father's murderer. Okay. And then the second longer story is a real heartbreaker. It's called Combat. A young man named Tadashi worships his father. His father always seems to do the right thing. Finds a dead cat on the side of the road, takes the time on the way to work to bury the cat, pray over the cat, do the thing that the spirit of the cat would want done. Gives homeless people money, takes homeless people into their home, and the homeless people, when the family is away at work and Tadashi's at school, the family takes their belongings and just leaves, and the father's like, oh, well, I hope that they put them to good use. Like, the guy is an upstanding, righteous person until Tadashi finds out that the father was one of the Japanese soldiers stranded at Guadalcanal. And the things that the father had to do in order to survive did not fit in with Tadashi's view of what his father would do. Like, the guy had to resort to cannibalism in order to stay alive on the island. The Allied forces had them penned in. There was no supplies in. Nothing was going out. They were basically starving on the island. This group of Japanese soldiers who were dying one by one by one by one. And Tadashi was the youngest and the most virile, or most physically able to withstand the kind of punishment that the Allies were heaping upon them. So he lasted the longest, and he had to resort to cannibalism to stay alive. And Tadashi's like, no, fuck you. That's not how you're supposed to act. You're my dad. You always do the right thing. And so it's a butting of heads of generations. The whole book is like that. And it's very strange, especially the second story, Combat, because it ends very ambiguously. It's like you can write your own ending to the story. Umezz provides you with the necessary information, but there's no rock solid final, this is how it ends. It's very amorphous and very non-specific. So I thought this book is great, and it's so different that these two little fuckers, both of the kids are very different. One starts off very optimistic and turns very dark, the singer, Yuchi. And the other one is like, my dad's the best person on the fucking planet. He's great. But he ate somebody to stay alive. And I don't know if I'm down with that. And it's just like, you see it all the time. Like the family dynamic, the younger generation always is at odds with the elder people for whatever reasons. That's just a part of being a kid. But in this book, are they justified? I don't know. Like, read it. It's great. And Orochi stays on the periphery of the story. She's not that involved in either one of them. Not like the previous volumes where she manipulated events within the story. Not so much in this one. She's more like a horror host in this volume, where she's just observing from the sidelines and letting the story play out. And she'll comment from time to time like, oh, Tadashi's acting strange. Well, yeah. Found out his dad ate human flesh. But so Orochi volume.
We all, I mean,
no, there's wrinkles in this book. There really is. You can't condemn the kid for wanting his father to act within those brackets that he expects him to act. But then the father's a human being. He's fallible. He's human. He has faults and strengths just like everybody else. And the kid doesn't really understand that. It's a great book. Orochi Volume 3. There's one more volume. So you'll have to hear about me talk about Kazuo Umezz again. That's a bad thing.
Oh, the horror.
Orochi.
Horror.
Volume 3. It's great. Great stuff.
Love it. Nice.
I don't know if I'd call it horror. The horrific elements are, yes, if you had to eat somebody to stay alive, that's pretty horrible. But it's not like Junji Ito brand horror. This is a more subtle.
When I said the horror, it was just the dread of you.
No, yeah. Right. No, I get that. I got that part 100%.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's, to brand this horror is accurate, but not entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like Hyde Street.
Hilarious.
Just like it.
Bunch of bullshit.
Wow.
Poor baby. So
to be so rigid like Jason, like you think like you'd be a little wiggle
Dude, I
room?
fucking read you the solicit Jeff Johns wrote for his own website about it.
Oh,
Like,
so
so
we've learned that the official explanation for things is the truth.
That's
Yes,
the
yes.
No, it's
we
not.
have to go by.
Whatever.
Fuck your feelings.
Whatever.
So if the creator calls it something, you're still saying it's not that.
Yes, I'm saying it's not that. Because when you create a piece of art and you release it to the
go.
No,
Here we go.
I'm just saying, when you release it to the world, millions of eyes are on this thing. Millions of interpretations exist. If you call this whatever you call it, it doesn't matter. The person that's viewing it is going to have their interpretation of it. I could be wrong. Whatever. It doesn't matter. You cannot whisper into the ear of all your viewers, this is what it is. It's impossible.
Because if somebody didn't read that official screed by Jeff Johns,
That's
they might not think
irrelevant,
it's art.
whether it exists or not. Art is art, and it is perceived on many different ways by many different people.
The bullshit is flowing hard, but go ahead, continue.
Good God.
Nothing matters anymore.
It's
We're at
100%.
the halfway mark
That's 100% truth.
of the Tin Can Society by Peter Warren and Rick Remender, with written by Peter Warren, art by Francisco Mobley, colors by Chris Chukri, and the mystery seems to be, I guess, unraveling, or at least certain things are coming to light. This was a, I'm not going to say crazy issue, but it was somewhat enlightening, because we're introduced to a character named Willie Gimler, who's had more than half a dozen concussions by the time he was 23 years old, and by an unfortunate accident, our the hero of the story that we never really got to read about when he was a hero, since he showed up in the first issue dead. There's a bit of a entanglement with the case of mistaken identity, basically. Johnny made a mistake, and now it's kind of coming back. Well, maybe it bit him in the ass already, and his friends are still trying to figure out who may have who murdered him. And this was an issue that it kind of took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting it to kind of go in this direction, but the more I thought about it, it definitely it seems to be making sense. The art it dawned on me earlier that the art, there are a lot of panels here, and maybe I'm just thinking about it from memory, but some of it reminds me of, Vince, you remember Gray, the artist who did The Good Guys?
I do.
Yeah, some of this art reminds me of that a little bit. But yeah, we're just finding out about what makes the members of the Tin Can Society tick, and how close they once were, and how trying to reconnect so they can solve this mystery. It's a really entertaining series, like I said. So this is the 4th issue of I believe 9, and yeah, I'm still, Jason talked it up when it came out. I finally got on it, and yeah, this was I was about to say this was kind of a hard hitting issue, but that's because there were physically a lot of hard hits in this issue, whether it's on a football field, whether it's a premeditated attack, whether there's just, it's a funky series, and if you haven't started it yet, I would definitely recommend it. But yeah, I'm jumping around and being deliberately vague because, again, this is a mystery. Things aren't quite what they seem, because even though these people are all friends, and Johnny, the one person that kind of brought them all together, was the king of keeping secrets, apparently, and so we're finding things out as the issues come out. So it definitely holds my attention in that regard. So yeah, in your travels, the Tin Can Society, published by Image Comics, and part of the Giant Generator, under the Giant Generator umbrella.
Oh, yeah. In your travels, I want you guys to read a book that I think pretty much only myself and Caleb, our good buddy Caleb, are reading. Don't know why. It's great. We are now 7 issues in out of 8. It's an 8-issue series. I'm talking about Namor, Last King of Atlantis. Written by Jason Aaron. It's part of the Jason Aaron Renaissance run here. He's crushing it on this book, I think. Artists are Paul Davidson and Alex Linz. I love Alex Linz. I actually because of this book, I got a commission to New York Comic Con from him of Stingray versus Orca, because he inspired me from this book. I loved his art so much. And this is, I think that this is by far and away the best Paul Davidson has ever looked in a book. So I think Paul Davidson career work, Alex Linz usually awesome work, but it's just a fun, really well executed Namor story. The premise is basically Namor's been out doing his business, and now the sea is without a ruler, and so the seven components of Atlantis, like the 7 tribes, each send a warrior to basically battle to the death for the winner take all, being the new ruler of Atlantis, and then Namor gets back involved in the situation. It's just a wonderful book with tons of action, and any underwater or sea-themed character from Marvel that you may have affinity for makes an appearance in this book, and it just looks great, and it's fun, and I just fucks with it. So it's, wow. And I feel like it's a book that nobody's talking about. So yeah.
Some of the art, you said there were 2 artists on this?
Yes.
Yeah, some of the art has a Henry vibe to it, like a Grimjack look to it. The guy that does the double page spreads with all the blood and the giant creature. I don't know which one it is of the 2, but it looks a lot like Flint Henry to me.
That's Alex Linz.
Yeah, not the softer stuff. The more visceral. Yeah. He's got a pretty strong Flint Henry vibe. That's not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Enjoy.
All right.
I know. I can't read a book about...
because I won't.
No, I can't read a book about Namor. No.
It's the ankle. Dude, even it's not the Tuma is in there.
It's great. I'm glad that you're loving it. And I wish every issue brings you so much joy that you just smile.
No, to your point, this is like how I feel when you talk about Symbiote's books. It's like,
sure,
you do you. Yeah, do you.
Yeah, the last bunch of Symbiote books.
It is Marvel after all.
Yeah,
this may be the best. Just to put it like, and this is a low bar. This may be the best standard.
Really, better than Scarlet Witch?
Oh God, yeah.
What do you mean? Scarlet Witch is really good.
It was really good.
What? Why would you say it's not now?
I just don't think. I think the first volume of it was like shockingly great. I think the second volume's been okay.
You're saying it's overstaying its welcome.
No, I'm saying, well, maybe. I'm saying it's. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad book by any stretch. I just think, like, to me, maybe because I was so shocked that Steve Orlando was giving me a great book, the first volume felt special. Just because I'm like, really? Look at you, Steve Orlando. But yeah, no, I'm not going to besmirch Scarlet Witch. It's a good book.
Yeah, you know what?
That's the other thing about these books, man. Sometimes, like, again, like we're just victims of the moment. Not that we try to be, but like. I was thinking about that last week with Birds of Prey. Like, Birds of Prey is still objectively a good book, but it doesn't feel as special as it did when it first came.
Right.
You know, and it's like, it's probably not even fair, but it's just like, maybe because we know the conceit now, like, we're kind of like, it just feels a little more familiar now, right? Like, I don't know, like, it's tough. It kind of highlights why it's so tough to do periodical comics successfully, right? Because it's like,
yeah, I think
how
there
do you
should
keep
be
people
seasons.
excited about it?
Right.
Yeah.
Pick a number of issues. Like, this is season 1, 12 issues. Then we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with season 2, maybe 12 issues if the first season does well. Just hop or springboarding off Scarlet Witch, and I firmly acknowledge that this is a me thing. It's 100% a me thing. That I have a hard time accepting Agatha Harkness as a young, attractive woman.
Right.
Because of the cinematic universe and all that stuff, and I realized that they have to tweak the visuals in confirmation with the stuff that's going on in other media. I get it. But when I read like stuff featuring Agatha Harkness, like Scarlet Witch or other books, those books happen in a different iteration of the Marvel Universe to me. Mm-hmm. That is not Agatha Harkness. I don't no. Agatha Harkness is a shriveled old woman with a cat who answers the door and is not social. It is very socially awkward. Like, that's Agatha Harkness. This one, I don't know who this is, but okay, you're telling me it's Agatha Harkness, so I'm gonna agree with you. But this cannot be the same Marvel Universe. It just can't. But I enjoy the stories as well. I like them. But that's just a weird alternate reality, Agatha Harkness. Like, what? No, what's happening?
I smell you.
Do you feel that way too? Like, and as a witch, she should be able to alter. She should be able to alter her physical form, right?
I mean, I don't feel that way. Like with this specific, like I don't feel strongly enough about Agatha Harkness as a character to care that they've reinvented her. But I certainly think there are characters that Marvel and DC have reinterpreted that I'm like, nah, that's not my. But not with Agatha Harkness particularly. But I know what you're saying.
What's with Harley Quinn and the farting? Like, that seems to be a thing with Harley now. Like, I've seen covers and interior pages where Harley just farts. Like,
oh, I don't know. I haven't read Harley since
I don't get it.
And Amanda stopped doing the book.
That's a turn off, but whatever. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. We hope you're back next week, because you know what? We have nothing else to do. We'll be doing this. Get yourself to a comic book shop, read stuff, love it, talk about it, come back here. Maybe we'll be talking about it here. Who knows? Chances are very good. Mayhap. Say good night.
Emotional damage.
Yes, sir.
David.
Good night.
You're so stupid.
I am stupid. Doomed to failure.
David.
Yeah. Discord's a wonderful tool.
It is.
A lot of people use it.
It's hard to imagine what we used before this.
Yeah. Yeah. What did we know? Goobers.
It's today.
We're out. We love you. Tell them so.
Mwah.
So much.
That's it for that one.